tell the audience about yourself a little bit.
Okay, a little bit about me. Born and raised in Ghana, of course. Small town called Bodumase. That's where we are all from. And then I schooled in Kumasi. At the time, started Kumasi Academy. But I didn't graduate high school in Ghana, so ended up coming here. That's where, we got here and the struggle started. You get to America and you can barely understand the type of English people are even speaking. But I've been here, learned the system as we went by, did what we were supposed to do, went to college, did some engineering there. But when we came out, so many opportunities in tech as well. So we started just learning the tech skills. At the time, a friend introduced me to data analytics. So that's what I started learning. And that's what I work in now. And now we're just out here trying to spread the gospel and educate our people as well.
Well, okay. Take us back to your journey from Ghana to America. How was the experience like? When you first landed, I don't know if it was Dallas Airport or Reagan.
Dallas.
EWI.
Yeah, we got to Dallas. So I always tell people, in coming to America, that day, it's like, I got super hungry, right? I was very excited when I was leaving Ghana, but I remember we ate some dinner in Ghana, which was like 5 p.m. Got on a plane. We flew through London. So it was British Airways. So we had a transit in London. And we got to London at like 4 a.m.-ish. Mm-hmm. And we had to wait till like 10 a.m. to get on a flight here. So mind you, we had dinner at 5 p.m., gave all the money on us to our family, the guys who came to see us off. And then we got to London. It was like 10 a.m. But 10 a.m., that's when we got on a plane to US. And it was like, oh, snap, we're hungry. We need some food. But then we got to the plane. And then when we got here, it was like 2 p.m. here. But it was like 7 p.m. in Ghana at the time because it was a 5-hour difference.
Right.
So we had gone from 5 p.m. the previous day to 7 p.m. the next day. No food, nothing, because in the plane, we weren't comfortable with the food at the time. But we got here at Dallas. It was cold. It was November. So that we came on the Thanksgiving week. Yeah, so once we got here, it was kind of cold. We stepped outside to check it out. It took a little bit for my uncle to pick us, but everything was just different. Ambulances just driving by, a bunch of different race of people as well. But it was exciting. After all, we had arrived in America, so.
Okay. Well, that's an experience right there. Yeah, I know, back then in Africa, when we are coming to America, we always think about New York, seeing like high-rise buildings and all that, right? And the lights.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you did a podcast and you have your own show on Instagram. Is it Instagram, YouTube?
Yeah, Instagram, I just drop short videos, when the type of questions that people would always ask me, whether it's career-wise, financial-wise. When I get these type of questions, I just shoot a video about it because I'm like, if somebody has asked me about this question, then very likely there's going to be another person out there that probably has the same question. So I just shoot short videos to educate people. That's the goal of it.
Okay. All right. I want us to get into the career, right?
Yeah.
And right now, the question that we have is, I think I was watching one of your videos and I was able to generate, a question from that. And so I know the listeners want to hear your answers, right? So why do you think many Africans in the diaspora don't fully take advantage of career opportunities here?
Well, I think so. For our people, when we get here, right, we are in a rush to get to the mediocre goals we have, right? Because normally when people are coming to America, they have the idea of, I wanna come back and start a business in Ghana. I'm just gonna go and in 2 years I want to get a capital to come back and start a business. They have their goals. So when they get here, you know, America is the land of opportunities, believe it or not. That's the main reason why we get so excited when we get our visa. But these opportunities, it comes with the systems, right? For you to be able to take advantage of the opportunity, you have to learn and understand the system.
Okay.
And when our people get here, we get our first jobs, you know, $10 an hour, $15 an hour.
Nursing home.
And we compare that with the struggle we had back home. So now it feels like we're making more money. But then we start paying the bills and all that. And now we realize, oh snap, we don't have money. So what do we do next? We go get a second job, a third job, just so we can get by. But that vision, that mediocre vision we had, that we're just going to go get a capital and come back real quick. Now we get stuck in the system for so many years. That capital never happens because we never took time to learn the system and understand how we can make a lot more money, right? Work less and make more money. We just don't learn the system. Because I know some of my uncles who have been to America for over 30 years, and you talk to them and it's like they don't know much about how the system works, right? I know the first time I came to America, I'm talking to one of my uncles and I'm talking about a credit card. And I was like, uncle, what is a credit card? Because I went to the bank and they gave me a debit card. So I asked my uncle, oh, I heard there's another card called credit card. What is it? My uncle goes like, never get a credit card. It's going to ruin your life. All that.
Negativity.
I still learned the system and I got the credit card and it helped me build my credit. And I mean, that's how we could buy houses and stuff.
Right.
But just imagine if I listened to my uncle and didn't get that credit card. I mean, I wouldn't have the credit I have now. Right. So it's lack of understanding of the system.
Yeah. And I think it's also stereotyping.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when we first got here, right, you know, our parents would often tell us, don't do this, don't do that, right?
Exactly.
And that will, you know, vividly bring us to an energy where we will become timid.
Yeah. Because they've had some bad experience with that and they probably didn't go about it the right way. I mean, you see, one example here, Ghanaians these days, right, when you send people money and they tell you, oh, don't send it through this number because I owe MTN on it. You know, right? People do that a lot. They bring the same attitude to the US and then they borrow money from the bank on a credit card and they don't pay it. The disadvantage that will give you here is that for this place, if you fail to pay that money, it hits your credit. Now, the banks will charge you a lot more interest. And it kind of sucks, right? But now they think, oh, a credit card has ruined my life. The credit card didn't ruin your life. Your attitude did.
Okay. Now, let's go to the attitude, right? I want to understand this. Why do you think is the case of the attitude? Is it because of our culture? Is it because of fear? Is it because of, you know, lack of knowledge?
Lack of knowledge, I would say, right? And I mean, culture is part of it too. I think the environment we get raised in, the lack of accountability, right? So, I said the lack of knowledge part because sometimes people don't understand the consequences of their actions. So let's say somebody go get a credit card and, you know, they borrow money from it and they don't pay it back. They probably didn't know that if you don't pay that money back, this is the consequences you're going to have on you. Because the bank will give you a long wording and nobody reads that. But also, sometimes the reason why the culture part comes in is because our people, we come to America and most of the time, our mindsets start to shift because the system here, it raises people differently.
Right.
So I believe the cultural part is a key part too. When you're getting raised in an environment where your parents and your uncles are doing certain things, when you're in that circle, you find yourself doing the same things too. So that's where the cultural part plays a role.
Okay. I mean, it looks like back in the days when a lot of Africans migrated into the diaspora, we were always looking into healthcare, I think marketing type of jobs, right? But then there was a shift. And the shift was tech.
Yeah.
Right? So let's talk about that. How did that happen?
Again, it goes back to the information, right? One thing I always use as an example. Even the Bible says it, that with lack of knowledge, my people perish.
Right.
And I believe when we say knowledge, it's information. If somebody is more knowledgeable in something than you, it's because they have information that you don't have. So, I mean, our people, we came in for the money. It's wherever the money is, that's where we want to be. And so when we get to that point where we learn about different career aspects that can help us, that's where we want to be. And I believe even this tech space that we are talking about, Africans haven't taken advantage of it enough. Because I've been to companies, I've worked in environments, and I normally ask myself that question, where is our people? I work in data analytics, and I haven't met a lot of Ghanaians in data analytics. Right? I've seen, it seems like people go in as they become aware of it, but then it goes back to the lack of information.
I think, when we talk about data analytics, right, it's because of the technicalities that comes over there.
Yeah, we like the easy path.
Yeah. So business analysts, we good with that. Cybersecurity, we good with that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Python coding, building dashboards, using Power BI, Tableau, I don't think our people want to stress themselves. But it is the future.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be creative. When it comes to data transformation, a lot can go into that. Right? And that is very true. Some people like the easy way out. Or let me push some documentation here, redundant type of work. They know they are going to come in, they're going to do these specific tasks, and they're going to work out, and that's it. The data analytics we do, that's not the case.
Right.
Every project is different. Every client comes with their own different requirements. It's the same tools, but you're going to use the tools differently. And you have to think, right? You have to be creative. Even when you're building a dashboard, clients will describe what they want.
Right.
But you have to add that creativity into it and think, if I do this, it will add some spice on top of it for the client. And you're right. That's where I believe our people don't do well with thinking outside the box,
Yeah, because I've had this experience in the past where I had some students and they were very smart. Mm-hmm. But because the boot camp was very technical, they were not able to learn, study the materials. Mm-hmm. And then you will have a Ghanaian born in America, an African, Nigerian born in America, you have Caucasian, and you have Indian take the class or boot camp, and they are very sharp. Mm. So to me, I think it's because of the education back home.
Right.
We always brag and say we are very smart people
because we know how to chew and pour.
Yep, but we are not.
Yeah. We
don't reason. We lack critical thinking.
Exactly.
We're not curious people.
Yeah.
We only listen to what somebody said, and that was it. So I think that's the bridge. That's the gap, right? Okay, let me ask you this. Now, what do you think, and why do you think that Africans stay in low-paying jobs for years?
Number one, I believe we get comfortable. Number two, we normally don't have the motivation to do more. And then the third one that I would add is the lack of information and awareness. The comfortability part, it comes in because that's what I was saying earlier. People have struggled so much back home. You know, I know some of my people. I mean, for those of us who grew up in rural areas, people will go to the farm every day.
Right.
So for these people, when you put them in America and you give them a restaurant job, they see it as a life upgrade already. So at that point, they feel like they've reached. They don't have to keep going up. Right. So that's one thing. And then getting, you know, the lack of motivation is also, I've seen people, they work their jobs. It kind of sucks for them. They don't like the job they do.
Right.
But they just don't want to sit down and learn. Right. In America, if you want to make it, you have to learn. There's no two ways about it. Even if you have a high paying job and you want to keep moving up, you have to learn and build your experience, build your knowledge base. People just don't have the motivation to do that. And we can resonate with this, that even running boot camps, sometimes people start it high energy, 1 month, 2 months down the road, they are not even showing up to class.
Right.
Right. That motivation, it vanishes. And then guess where they end up? The same job that they hate, that they wanted to get away from. It's like, let me just do it just, that lack of motivation is key. And the lack of awareness is also one thing. A lot of people just don't know there are better opportunities out there for them. And they don't seek that information, by the way. But that's why we're doing these things now. Okay. Just so we create that awareness.
Okay. So what type of mind shift do you think is needed to change this narrative?
Yeah, we need to shift our mindset from that comfortability to, doing more. We need to start thinking about being like stakeholders in America. We are not guests. The reason why I'm saying that is because I always use my uncles as an example because, I came to, that's the circle I found myself in when I came here. Some of my uncles, what they told me when they moved here, their mindset was always, oh, I'm just here for a little bit. I'll be going back home soon. So it just felt like I'm a guest here. I'm coming here to just cash out and leave within few years. The next thing they knew, they got married. They started having kids. Now they had to stay for their kids to graduate school. And some of them have ended up dying here, right, unfortunately. Right. So the key is, if you're going to stay here, we have to learn the system and do well in the system. We have to ask ourselves, what can we do here to make our lives better? And even if we decide that we want to go back later, at least what did we lose? We didn't have anything to lose, right? Because by learning, we grow every day. But it's that mindset of, we're just here for a little bit, let's just get our money and leave. But we never really leave. So we need to have that mindset shift. Because I feel like once we start thinking of, we're here and we are going to do better in the American system, then we will learn the system. Then we will do what we're supposed to do. We will learn the good career paths, and then we will grow as people.
Yeah, the new generation coming now, us, right? We are essentially making things happen, right? In terms of, building skills, expertise, going to school. The disadvantage that our uncles and parents had when they came was education.
Yeah.
We had the opportunity to go to school.
Yeah.
Right? Build the skills. Networking. Now let's talk about why networking is important for Africans now. Usually it's like we are always scared to share our ideas with each other. Yeah. It's like there's a witchcraft mentality.
Yeah.
But if you can share why it's important to share some of your ideas. So people with that links can help you.
Yeah. I believe this is one thing that one of my managers told me at work. He said, no matter how good you are with something, if nobody knows what you're capable of, you're going to be stuck in the same place, right? Networking is, when we lived in Ghana, we always complained about how the system is who you know. And if you come out of school and you don't know anybody at a high place, you're not getting a job. It's the same thing in America. It's always who you know. If I have a big job available and I know somebody who knows how to do it, and there's a stranger who also knows how to do it, I'd rather give it to the person that I know, because at least I can trust them.
Right.
So it's very important that we network, even if it doesn't guarantee anything at the moment. You never know down the road who is going to bring that opportunity for you. And one key aspect of that is sharing what we know, right? Because these days, that's one thing I try to do more, go for webinars and just do a presentation there, show people. Last time I showed people what Power BI can do in project management, and everybody was excited. Guess what? Someday, if somebody works for a project management company and they're looking for somebody to come in and build dashboards and stuff to track project performance, it's like, oh, I know a guy who can do it because he showed me what he can do. But our people, I believe, growing up, we always had that mentality of, if you tell the next person what you're about to do, then it will generate hate, then they will try to bring you down and all that. So it's always, let me keep it in my head and accomplish it before I will tell somebody about it. And I don't think it's always a good thing.
Yeah, I always had issues with that, with that type of mindset, right? Because it's like we are always putting fear, instead of development.
Yeah.
And I think it stems from religion. And then, we'll talk about this later. But yeah, what advice do you have for the new arrivals that are coming? I know next year. Next year we're gonna have a lot of
yeah. I understand where you're going. I won't say it loud, but I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So what advice do you think will benefit them?
Focus on being valuable. When we get to America, most of the time, that's what I said in the beginning. We have all these goals that we are trying to go back home. We're trying to build that house. We're trying to achieve this. So when we get here, we skip the part where we have to be valuable and just jump into the low-paying jobs, trying to make money and just focus on, building the house back home and all. But when you get here, take some time to learn high-paying skills. You don't have to go to school for 4 years. If you have to go to a trade school, learn building maintenance. Some of these things, you can learn them in 6 months. Sacrifice that 6 months to a year, learn a high-paying skill, and then once you get into that environment, then you can focus on doing the other things you wanted to do. Because if you jump into the low-paying jobs and that's all you're focusing on, then it's going to take you even more time to accomplish the goals you need to accomplish. Because guess what? An example, if you make $15 an hour and somebody takes that 1 year, they go learn that high-paying job, they end up with, let's say, $40 an hour type of job. You're making that 15 in 3 years. The person who sacrificed that 6 months to a year, over the same 3 year period, they will end up making more money than you.
Right.
And then all the years after that, now they're getting paid more. But you're going to be stuck because you didn't make that sacrifice of learning. So learn, become valuable, and the value will pay off.
All right. Valuable asset, being a skilled individual is the goal. Okay. Final message, 2026. What advice will you give to all Africans, 2026. I know we already spoke about, the newcomers, but we're talking about the people in the diaspora already. 2026. Let's talk about, before begin with your course, the bootcamp, how beneficial it is, and how it could benefit a lot of people from Africa.
All right. So I'll start off with, the 2026, what people can do. Number one investment I believe you should make in 2026 is learn a skill. So look at your career, where you are today. And I want you to research and find out one skill that will take you to the next level of your career. If you work in a store, think about your supervisor. Your supervisor probably stays in the office doing schedules and all that, probably using a tool like Excel. So that means that is probably the skill you need to get to the supervisor role. So no matter which environment you work in, ask yourself, what is the next level I want to get to? Even if you don't know how to find it, go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, this is the kind of work I do. This is where I'm trying to get to. What is that one skill that will help me get there? ChatGPT will help you find that. When you find it, 2026, invest in that skill. Even if there's no guaranteed returns right away, just invest in it, because opportunities come for people who are prepared. Right? If that job becomes available and they need somebody to fill it and you don't know the skill already, guess what? You're not getting the job. But once you learn and you prepare yourself ahead of time, now you have what it takes to take advantage of the opportunity when it comes up. Now, going back to our bootcamp, we teach data analytics, Excel. That's what we start with, because we believe everybody needs Excel. So we teach Excel, Power BI, Tableau, and SQL. Now we're also rolling out our project-based mentorship. In that mentorship, what we are going to do, because currently we do the resumes and the interview preps and everything. But with the project-based mentorship, we are going to set up company accounts for people, set up projects for people. So you get to work on these projects like you're working for a real company. And the goal of that is to prep you so that when you go in interviews and all that, at least it kind of feels like you've done the job before, so you know exactly what you're doing. So that's what we're doing. And there's the project management part of it. So about 3-4 years ago, I had a friend. I was living in Alexandria at the time. I had a friend who would just come over and I was doing project management. Our part of project management is called project controls. That is the people, because every project you have the project manager and then the project controls person, that's scheduling for the project manager, cost analysis, to let the project manager know that we said we were going to use 1 year to build this project. Are we staying ahead of schedule? Are we staying behind schedule? It puts some accountability on the project. Same thing with the cost analysis. Every project comes with a budget. And as we progress with the project, we have to determine that how are we performing based on the budget we set up.